Coach, can you just talk about how the team is playing right now, going into these midweeks, and then the weekend series at Wake? You guys are on a 5-game win streak, and you just swept Duke.
Yeah, the boys are playing well now. They're playing with confidence. I think the fun thing about it is, Duke's a really good ball club, and that was the top pitching staff in our conference coming into this weekend. And Northeastern and Holy Cross are both very good ball clubs. But I don't think our boys are doing anything that they can't continue to do. We're not coming off a week where we're saying, man, we played so well that everything was clicking, everything was going right. We can't keep repeating that. I think we played well last week, but I think we can continue to play that well. And I think that we've got some guys that are just starting to come a little bit. Joey Cronin and Mike Strum, and that haven't even hit their hot streak yet. So, and we also did that without Blake, who's a huge piece to this ball club. Hoping to get him back here for this weekend. So, the boys are playing well. They're playing with confidence. The pitching staff is starting to come together. Coach Foster's doing an unbelievable job with those guys. And it's something I think we played well last week, and I think we can continue to play like this.
Great. And if you can just talk a little bit about the pitching staff. The starting rotation was very successful against Duke. And then, Dunn and Nicholas did a great job as the back-end closers. If you just comment on all those pitchers.
Yeah, we've been sort of messing around with the pieces, trying to get them in the right spots early on, and seeing what Berkey and King and Johnny Gorman did this weekend. That's a really solid ACC rotation. Any one of those guys has the opportunity and has shown that they can dominate a game when they're throwing the ball well and when they're right, and that's fun. And our boys love playing behind them and have confidence playing behind them. Nicholas, Dunn, Adams, Poor, those guys all did a good job this weekend for us coming out of the pen. And we're going to need some other guys to come in and continue to do that. Some of the guys that threw midweek last week will throw again this week, and there'll be some other guys kind of getting themselves into that mix. But Coach Foster's doing a great job of attacking hitters with the guys that we have and getting them in the right spots. And you can see it too. And anytime JD's on the mound, our boys love it. They have confidence. And Johnny Nicholas, it didn't go his way on Saturday, but he threw the ball great. He was executing pitches, and he kind of got unlucky. They got those 2 runs really without hard contact. Guys had great at-bats against him, and they battled and got some 2-strike hits, but he was a little bit unlucky, and then he was able to come back, get that third out, give us a chance to go in the ninth and get something going when Mock gets us going and Strum walks and Chris obviously hits that home run. But if Johnny Nicholas doesn't get that last out, gives up a double, all of a sudden we're down. That changes the whole thing. And then he came back and gave us a great 8th on Sunday. So we saw some great things out of him as well.
And Chris Shaw is really the player we all expected him to be, but some of the other players around him are really performing well. Can you just talk about, Jake Palmaki had hits in all the games this weekend, and Joey Cronin is on a hit streak. Nick Shortino had 3 doubles, and Steven Sauter seems to get an RBI every time he's at the plate. Can you just talk about some of the guys around Chris?
Yeah, the conversation, whenever anybody's talking about this ball club right now in our offense, it's going to start with Chris, but it doesn't end with Chris, and that's, I think, the awesome thing. Chris can carry this ball club, but he doesn't have to carry this ball club, and that's what we saw a lot this weekend. Chris walks us off on Saturday, but Scores and Steven Sauter both had more big hits this weekend than Chris did. Jake Palomaki feels like he's on base all the time. Donovan Casey is consistently giving us good at-bats. Strum and Joey Cronin in front of Chris. Joey can really hit. And, he started off a little bit slow this weekend, but he's settled himself in, made a little adjustment at the plate, and he's looked great. So this lineup has got some length. So, like I said, the conversation might start with Chris, but it doesn't end there. And it's a lineup that you've got to pitch to all the way through, and guys that can do some damage all the way through. And you look at even some of those guys at the bottom where Bigris and Adams, those guys each had some big hits this weekend. And Logan Hogarth very quietly is having a good season. And he's on base all the time. He had a huge situational at-bat. He had 2 huge situational at-bats this weekend. So that makes it a lineup that can be tough to pitch to.
Mike King has essentially moved from a reliever role into a starting role. Is this what you saw from him coming in as a freshman? Can you just talk about his progression as a pitcher?
Yeah, we always believed that Mike was going to turn into a dominant ACC starter. We had him in the bullpen early on. Had more to do with taking our time stretching him out early in the year than his actual stuff. So we had him in the bullpen. We used him in the back end because his stuff is so good, but always with the eye on slowly stretching him out. We always, our first concern is always the health of our boys and making sure that we're taking care of their arms. So we didn't want to rush stretching him out. Now that he's stretched out and he's available to start, we love having him in that spot. He's got stuff. He's got confidence. He's got pitchability, and there's no the game never speeds up on him. There's no situation that gets too big for him. He's just going to continue to execute his pitches and execute big pitches in big spots, and that's why we love having him out there, and that's why the boys love playing behind him.
And lastly, you're heading to Wake Forest this weekend. They're one of the top offensive teams in the league. Can you just talk about what the Eagles' strengths are that can combat that?
Yeah, Tommy Walters is a good coach, and that's a really good ball club. And they got a couple guys in the middle with Craig and Mondo that can really roll it. They can really swing it. And they can hit. They've got juice, but they've also got other guys around him. It's a really good lineup. They've got some speed in there. They got some power in there. So it's going to be a good challenge for our boys for not just Berkey and King and Gorman, but our whole staff. It's going to be a good challenge going after those guys, and it's not just an offensive team. They can pitch it too, and Wake's a good club, but we're used to seeing a good club every weekend in the ACC. That's what you get. It seems like every weekend the team that you face is either going to be somewhere between very good and unbelievable. That's what the ACC is, right? So, and this team offensively is unbelievable, and they've got some very good arms out there. So we're excited to get down there, and but before we start talking about Wake, we got a big regional matchup today with UConn, which is a very good ball club, and then UMass tomorrow as well. So if we want to continue to keep playing well and continue to keep doing what we're doing, we got to kind of first worry about UConn.
Thank you.
Thank you.